After my therapist and our psychiatrist addressed Nina's very real mental health issues, I went home with my wife and I made love to Nina in every sexual position passionately, and then while she slept with her arm on my chest I laid there looking at my wife, concerned for her and my children. And over the next few days Nina became increasingly unstable and unhinged, hearing all the women around her talking about how attractive and handsome I am and how they all want to have sex with me. She became increasingly unstable and then eventually she finally snapped, and this time she actually tried to kill her daughter and my children and off herself, and I got actual proof of the whole thing. But unlike before in the original storyline, Nina actually loves me a little too much and she became cruel and mean just like she seemed to be in the movie. And I never abused my wife Nina, and I never did anything terrible to her. Nina simply just snapped this time and she had a real psychotic break, and then Nina finally decided to get a housemaid, and not because I'm a bad person or anything like that, but simply because she actually needed help this time. And that's when I met the Sydney Sweeney lookalike of Millie Calloway, and every day Millie Calloway actually noticed I did nothing wrong to my wife. I was just being a really good husband and father. And one day Millie Calloway came downstairs and Nina was acting unhinged again, and she asked Millie Calloway, "Where are my notes?" And then I walked downstairs and I gave them to Nina and I said, "You told me to put them up, remember?" Nina, leave Millie Calloway alone, she did nothing wrong. And then Nina started crying and playing the victim and she said, "Oh, I'm sorry Andrew, I didn't mean to." And then I said, "It's fine, you need to take your medicine." "Nina, go take your medicine please." And then she said, "Okay, I am, honey." And then I sighed and I apologized to Millie Calloway, and Millie Calloway asked me what the fuck is wrong with her, and then I said, "It's nothing really, she just has a bit of mental health issues. We are seeing a therapist, but now she's seeing a psychiatrist alone for her personal issues." And then Millie Calloway asked me, "Is she okay?" And then Millie Calloway walked up to me and she touched my arm and hugged me, and I said, "I'm fine, I've been through worse and I think I can handle this." And then Millie Calloway found out a little bit earlier on the internet that Nina Winchester tried to kill her kids and kill herself, but she found out I stopped the whole thing from happening. And then I said, "My wife thinks I cheated on her with other women, but I didn't. I've actually done nothing wrong. I've done my best to be a good loving husband to my wife Nina, that's all." And then I started crying and Millie Calloway put her hand on top of mine and Nina Winchester watched the whole thing and she got insanely jealous. So the original storyline in my new storyline is slightly altered, and Nina Winchester is actually insane and Nina is the actual psychopath this time, not me, not Andrew Winchester, but Nina. And as Millie Calloway found out everything about Nina, it soon became clear to her who the real victim actually is, and she was able to put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And then one night Nina caught me downstairs talking to Millie Calloway, and Nina Winchester told Millie to stay the fuck away from my husband. After that she became increasingly cruel until one day she snapped completely during sex with me, and she actually stabbed me in the arm and the hand, and then she stabbed me in the stomach. And I didn't do the Saitama training, but right now I'm wishing I had. And I said, "Nina, please, you are stabbing me, I've done nothing wrong, please stop." And she said, "Oh Andrew, I love you, I'm so sorry." And she started smiling while holding the bloody knife in her hand, and I said, "No Nina, you have to stop and think, you're hurting me, I'm your husband, I never cheated on you Nina." And then Nina stopped and she started thinking about everything, and she saw the knife in her hand, and then she started to become self-aware of what she had done. And I said, "I never cheated on you Nina, please put down the knife." And then that's when Millie Calloway showed up, and I was laying down on my back begging Nina Winchester to stop. And then Millie Calloway got very upset when my wife continued walking toward me and she knocked out Nina Winchester. And then Millie Calloway called the cops, and since I recorded everything like usual, Nina Winchester went to prison and I was rushed to the emergency room where I was stitched up, and my wife Nina was taken to prison while my body healed. Millie Calloway stayed with me and she made love to me in every sexual position, and I also got her pregnant, and my wife ended up getting sent to prison for a long time, and I sent her divorce papers while she was in prison, and I divorced Nina. After I came to visit her she finally signed the papers and I divorced Nina Winchester and I married Millie Calloway and she had our kids.